It's a minute past 10 o'clock. Dembo?
Yes, good morning, Prof. How are you?
Yeah,
Good.
good.
Nice to see you as always. You look very fresh.
Thank you. Right. Well, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the West African Research and Innovation Management Association, WARIMA, we'd like to welcome you to the second in the series of our webinars. We have taken it upon ourselves to reach out to our stakeholders at this very difficult moment arising from COVID-19, to be able to stay in touch and be able to enhance the capacity of our stakeholders. This is just one in the series of activities lined up. We had the first webinar on the 8th of October 2020, during which Nana Oye Akufo from Ghana took us through a very interesting topic, setting up a research management office. This morning, we are going to have another presentation by an equally exciting and wonderful woman, Elizabeth Stanley Bachili from the Gambia. She's going to talk to us on managing a research office. One interesting thing about this webinar series is that it's all a women affair. Nobody's complaining. We are very happy about that. Before we go on, I would like to specially appreciate the African Academy of Sciences, particularly the Research Management Program under the leadership of Alan Makwana, our partners, for supporting us through this very, very interesting activity that we have embarked upon. So once again, I'd like to welcome you, and I will invite Dembo Kante to say a few words of introduction about our guest and the presenter, Elizabeth Stanley Bachili. Over to you, Dembo.
Thank you very much, Prof. And welcome everybody once more to this particular webinar. For those of you who attended the last one, we've built this webinar series to be more or less like consolidative of each other. So the first one was on an experience in a research institution setting up a research management office. So all the complexities that go behind the structure, who do you define, how do you define the scope, who does what, which were very well discussed the last time by Nana Oye Akufo. Today we are building on that from an experience at the MRC unit, the Gambia, which has had a research support office that has been supported by staff, supported with resources, systems developed, and it's been working for quite a while. And then the impact that it has had in the MRC is what Elizabeth is hopefully going to take us through. We hope that you'll all have the chance to be able to interrogate with her and ask questions. Obviously, at the end of that, you could as well give us any suggestions or comments that you might as well have. In between that, we will have Alain, like Prof said, from AAS to talk about the RENPRO program. I think some of you may have heard it, some of you may know it, but it's always good to hear the details of what the program actually is talking about and what it anticipates to achieve. It's been a fantastic program that some of us have engaged with, and I think it would be good that we all have a first-hand discussion with Alain. Coming to the leading facility today, Elizabeth has worked at the MRC for the past 10 years. as a project manager, moved on to what we call theme project managers. And then in 2016, she became the head of the research support office. In 2018-19, she moved on to become the head of research governance at the MRC Unity Gambia, which is now formally a part of the London School. So we call it MRC Unity Gambia at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She's had a vast depth of experience dealing with all the pre-award, post-award, dealing with outputs, publications, commercialization, patenting, and all whatnot, contracts in the process of managing projects at the MRC Unity Gambia. So without much ado, I'll pass on to Elizabeth, who will probably give us a little bit more about herself and then take us through her slides as a means of discussion. Elizabeth?
All right. Thank you, Debo. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all here. Sorry, in the Gambia today is a public holiday, so that's why things are a bit lax here. So it's good to see all of you. Some of you I've met before when I started my career. Someone like Moses, who is Olumuyiwa. I call him Moses. So I met Moses in 2011, 2012 at the University of Ibadan when I just started my career, 2 years into it, very young and fresh. As Demba said, the trajectory of my career has been quite fast in the way it has grown over the past 10 years. I have changed positions 4 times, but it has been back-breaking as well. Research management is not that easy a job, but it is very exciting because each day is different. Can you all hear me properly? Okay, thank you. Right, so without much ado, we will just go into it. As Demba said, I have been doing this job for quite a while now. I will share my screen with you guys and we start the process. You can ask me any question that you want to ask me during this time. You can also contact me later to ask any further questions that you may wish to ask. Bear with me a second whilst I share my slides with you. Bear with me a moment, I'm struggling to see. I run multiple screens, so I'm struggling to see where the slides are. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, hold on a second. Can you see, I take it you can't see the slides yet, can you? No.
No, not yet.
No, we can't see it yet. Is it the same slides that you sent yesterday?
No, I've done some slight changes when I saw the timing. Just bear with me a second, please. This is not what you're supposed to see. Sorry.
I suppose you are alone there in the office today.
Pardon?
So you are alone in the office today.
I had to come in because I wanted to avoid technical glitches like this, and they're still happening in MRC. Sorry, everybody. What I'm going to do is, can I send the slides to you, Dembo, and then you can share it from your end?
Yeah, that's fine. I hope it will come fast enough.
Is Dembo co-hosting?
Yes, I'm co-hosting.
Yeah, so if he sends it to you, you should be able to share from your end.
Yes, I should.
Yeah, then please copy Chibuzo. So
Yeah.
either way, we should be able to have the slides.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Sorry about that. It should come in anytime soon. But in the meantime, let me just talk to you guys about MRC Unit the Gambia whilst we're waiting for the slides to.
Did you send it to both emails, Dembo, Nikante, and MRC?
I sent it to your LSHTM.
LSHTM, okay. So, yes, go ahead with
All right, I'm just going to go ahead and start whilst Dembo brings the slides up, okay? I'm very sorry about that. Right, the outline of the presentation, I'll first introduce MRC Unit the Gambia to you all, and from there we'll talk about the Research Support Office, and then we will talk about managing the Research Support Office, what I've done so far to date, and also managing a team, and then managing research output. Those are the things that we will talk about. So starting with that, the MRC Unit, the Gambia, has been in the Gambia for quite a while now. It has been here since 1947. Since 1947, what has happened is that the research portfolio of the MRC has grown significantly. We are a biomedical research institution based here. We employ over 1,300 staff. We have over 40 scientific positions. That's postdoc, early career researchers, and senior scientists. Approximately 75% of our staffs are employed by externally funded grants, and we manage an annual budget of around about £24 million every year. That grows as the external grants portfolio is growing. Right. Dembo, have you received the slides?
No. It hasn't yet come.
Okay.
I think you should go ahead on your own slides. Then whenever it comes, then I'll load it. And also, please, I think you send it to Nikante also. Sometimes the systems can be slow.
Yes, it is very slow. It's sitting in my outbox. It happens a lot.
Okay, it's sitting in your outbox.
Let me try sharing again and see what's going to do this time. Yep, don't worry, Dembo. I can see it now.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you all see the slides?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
That, right. Now we can go. We've already done that. Here, I wanted to ask a question, but I'm not sure if I can now because we're out of time. But what I wanted to ask is based on this statement. Today, this is an extract that I got from the WHO TDR, one of their materials that I was reading a while back. And it says that today's medical research, biomedical research is conducted by teams of specialists working in different locations, different organizations, and different tasks. And that there's a critical need for strong organization, planning, and management of projects, given the number of collaborators involved and our location. So for example, today we are all in different places. Some of you, most of you I see looking at the portfolio, most of you are in Ghana, are in Nigeria, some are in the Gambia, Ghana. I'm not sure about the other countries that are present on this webinar. But the thing that it says is that we need to be quite organized. In being quite organized, what does it mean for us for effective research management? Can anybody contribute? All right, okay. So the key elements, some of the key elements that I picked out from that also applies to the research management office here is that to manage a research management office, you need to manage the operations of the office. You need to manage ethics and compliance. In managing the ethics and compliance, you also need to manage the contracts. But in the middle of all of this, you have to manage people. You cannot do anything without people. They're the key resources that you need to manage. You need to manage the data that is being collected. You also need to manage the systems that will support the services that I've told you about the MRC already, giving you a quick background of what the MRC is. This is our external grants portfolio. At the moment, we run 118 active external grants, and that includes 14 clinical trials in various phases. External grants funding that we've attracted in just this year is, at the moment, this year for us, the year starts in April, runs to March. From April to date, we've attracted 16.8 million. We have a strong South to South and North-South collaborations. In West Africa alone, we have 39 projects that are ongoing with partnerships with other institutions within West Africa. Our donor portfolio, we have over 17 major funds we get, and from the output that we have from our research for 2019 alone, we've recorded 140 publications in peer-reviewed journals. That is the institution. Right, our funding trajectory. As I said, over 75% of our of our staffing is employed by externally funded grant. Our funding structure is that we have core funding, which is about 6 to 8 million every year. Everything else that comes on top of that is from external funding. Under the graph that you're looking at, you will see MRC's external funding trajectory as it has been from 2010, 2011 to 2020, 2021. This shows you a 10-year period. The first line, the first red line that you see is when the Research Support Office was set up. The second red line that you see is when Dembo handed over to me as the head of Research Support Office. I forgot to mention that I was his protege. So most of the things that I'm talking about and most of the things that I know, he has supported me to build me up into what I am today. So it's very important to have people that believe in you and believe in your talent, even when you do not believe in it yourself. So he has really impacted my life. Thank you very much, Dembo. So in 2016, 2017, Dembo moved on, having set up a strong platform for me to step on. From then on, you can see how the trajectory has been. And now I have moved on and somebody else called Amulai Toure has taken over. that is what this has been. But also, it's good to note that we have increased our operations in terms, the unit operations in terms of staffing, and everything has increased significantly from 2012, 2013, when Research Support Office was set up, to what it is right now. We've built up lots of structures, we've had to put in lots of procedures in place, introduce lots of policies, lots of guidances, lots of work documents, just to enable us to be in compliant with ever-changing funder terms and conditions, because it's very dynamic, it's constantly changing. Now, here, the Research Support Office, as we have, the research support as for us in the unit is that we are the focal point. We're the focal point between any external grant, any external money coming into the unit, it comes through the Research Support Office. You're applying, you are a collaborator from outside wanting to work with us, you must come through the Research Support Office first before you enter the unit. We provide guidance and support as during that process, both to internal and external participants. We've introduced something called the Research Hub, which allows external funders to come into the MRC and we host their research. Within that Research Hub, what happens is that we support the researcher from when they have the grant, the idea to apply for a grant and conduct the research under the umbrella of the MRC. We are the main research institution in the Gambia, but in saying that, the government of the Gambia has also set up their National Research Secretariat, which is picking up. It is a bit slow, but it is picking up, and we're seeing more research also being conducted through them, and that is medical research. We manage the grants approval process. Later on, you will see how that is done. We ensure compliance and governance. How we do that, the governance is a structure that we've set up within which research is conducted in the unit. We ensure compliance. Compliance is both internal and external, international and national regulations. When I say national regulations, we have the Medicines Control Agency, we have the Ethics Committee, we also have government regulations from the Ministry of Health that we do have to comply with. For the governance structure, we have the GCP, we have the GCP, we have the GFGPs, we have good research conduct policies, good research conduct practices, all of those things that are a framework within which we manage research. Because we do human studies, we deal with humans, so there are lots of guidances that we need to comply with. We receive NIH money. Again, we need to ensure that we're complying with all of this. Okay, we manage and coordinate research. So when I say we manage and coordinate not only the research when the grant is awarded, but also existing and new partnerships. Partnerships are key to our operations, because most of we have a strong collaborations here that exists in the unit. Through those collaborations, it opens up opportunities for us to bring in more funding and get more research conducted in the unit. So those two we manage. We ensure that the relationship is going well. How do we do that? We do the relationship management with keeping our stakeholders informed, what is happening with the research we're doing, what is coming out of it, how it impacts them, and also what services we have, where can we collaborate, what are the key strengths of the unit. So the Research Support Office have gotten to know it is our responsibility to know the scientific direction of the unit and be a key promoter of the scientific direction of the unit when we go out there. And we also conduct due diligences. We are receiving money. The money is not ours. We are safeguarding the money. We have to ensure that the money is being used for the purpose that it is being given to us. So we have collaborators. Sometimes we are the primary recipients. We send the money out to other institutions. When that happens, we conduct due diligence to make sure the due diligence process is to make sure that where you're sending the money, they have good accounting systems. They have systems to support the work of the research. You can rely on them to send you reports that the work is being done according to international guidelines and regulations, especially if the funders require you to do research or comply with EU regulations on human subject protection. or EU regulations in terms of audits and all those kind of things. So that's why we do due diligence to make sure their systems are robust enough. They have the policies and the systems and the procedures in place to enable we have nutrition, and it's now changing to also include climate change. So those are the three teams that we have. So these team leaders, the theme managers, we have program managers that manage each program. The themes are regarded as a program. We also have a program manager that manages the pre-award. Right now, the pre-award is a significant part of our programs. At the moment, this year alone, again, recording data from March, from April to now, we have submitted over 120 grants. We have a team of people who specialize just to do that. Just that. They don't do anything else but just manage the pre-award bit. Once the grant is submitted, they see it through to contract submission, and then they hand it over to the program managers and say, okay, we've done our bit. Here's your grant now. The contract signed. Here are all the paperwork. Go on and do the submission. We have the program managers. What the program managers do, they manage portfolios. Within the program, you have portfolios, clusters of projects that are put together. The portfolio may be led by one researcher or may be led by multiple researchers. So those are for example, you have what is it called again? Under the vaccines and immunity team, you have the TB program. That's a portfolio of its own. You have the clinical trials bit, which is a portfolio of its own. So those kind of things. We have the program managers, they manage portfolios. And then we have the project officers. These are the ones that do the day-to-day. They're more focused on the operations of the projects, running the day-to-day operations of the project. Then you have the project admin as well that provide administrative support. Within the project, we do lots of operation support as part of our research management services, and so the project officers and the admin team are quite involved in that. They do report to either the program manager or the project manager for those ones. So this is the vision of the research support office. When I first took over, I had to sit down. If somebody has been looking at something, has been looking after something for such a long time, I have been part of the team since 2010 when I started in the MRC, but then it was not, we're just project managers dispersed within the institution. So when I came in, I had to really look at the research support office and ask myself, what is it that I want out of the research support office? So that's how this vision statement came in. And this is the mantra that we also operate on. For us, operating a culture of excellence in our operations means that we represent to get things right first time round. We don't want things to come back to us. We get it right first time round. So that is what this mantra means to us. Right. How do we achieve this vision that we've set up? We've had to adopt a culture of accountability and responsibility. So accountability means that you take account of the things that you're supposed to do, what you're responsible for, what you're assigned to, what you're assigned. Are you doing it as per how it should be done? Are we getting funders coming back to us with queries? Are we getting PIs or researchers that are coming back to us because things are not going the way that they're supposed to go? So that is what we've created. And also we had to be flexible and adapt to change as they happen. So we're not really dogmatic to say this is how it should be done. as the systems, as funding requirements are changing, we meet and look at how we do things, how we can quickly adapt and change our processes and procedures to align with what is required of us. Again, we listen a lot to our service users, that is our stakeholders. We did a comprehensive stakeholder mapping to understand what each of these stakeholders, the groups of the stakeholders, what they required from us, how we can provide that, and how it impacts on the services that we provide. We use technology. We depend on data and technology a lot. Most of the things that we do here depends on that. And then we benchmark our services as well against international standards. So my question to those that are present, do you think it is important for a research support office to have its own vision and mission statement? Please just type in the chat box if you think so.
Hello, I think Elizabeth, you have a unanimous yes on that question. All right. Okay.
All right. Please make sure. So I'm going to, all of you, this is Dembo here. See where the cursor is. I'm sorry, I cannot bring this. So when he started the research support office, this is what he had to work with. That's him in the middle, all of us. I'm here in the white. And this is what the research support office is asset now. We have grown a lot over the years. Why have we grown? Because of the map, the graph that I showed you. We have grown because of our ability to provide an excellent service, which is supporting researchers to have the time to apply to more grants. The mantra that he was working with, concentrate on the science, we will provide the admin support. Concentrate on the science, we will provide the admin support. So we just continued on that. We took on more responsibilities away from the researchers. And right now, most of what they do is just write their proposal, send it to us, and the rest we take care of, obviously involving them in the process. So what has changed for us? It has evolved a lot over the last 10 years since we started research, or over the last 8 years. We have a very evolving scientific research portfolio. The research areas that we're focusing on then and what we're doing now has expanded. We now do a lot of climate change work and also climate change and planetary health. We have introduced a lot of social science studies, which wasn't there in the past. All of those things has evolved. Also, there's an increased pressure. So in the unit, increased pressure on the research platform in the unit. So in the unit, what we had prior was that, or what we still have is that we have platforms on which research sits. A platform is and provides sort of like it's a scientific it's okay. Let me rephrase it. The platform are key scientific areas that we've set up, which has provided the basis for research to come on and sit with. So we have right now we have the TB platform, we have malaria platform. these are areas that have done the background work. Their data is available, which researchers can use to apply for grants. So when they come, they sit on that. Now there's an increasing pressure on those. There's also constant changes in funder terms and conditions. I cannot emphasize that enough. Also, as these are changing, even in the Gambia, before how it was in terms of national regulatory requirements and how it is now, it has drastically changed. For example, the Medicines Control Agency just 2 weeks ago has introduced a clinical trials regulations guidelines. Not only that, they have also put in another guidelines for conducting research in the Gambia. And right now they're also working on the national research portfolio. So these are all coming on with complexity of contracts and the legal framework under which research is being conducted. Now we have to ensure that we have to look at patenting the research results that are coming in, what is patentable and others. So there's all of those things that we have to manage. But in that we have extensive collaborations. Each partner is bringing something on the collaboration. Each partner is bringing something on the table. How do we ensure that they protect what is theirs and we also protect what is ours, and what comes out of it? How do we all benefit mutually? Again, another thing is the increased use of technology. When I started, my first grant submission was paper-based. It was going to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We had to complete numerous forms, quite chunky bits, but now everything is done online, everything is systematic, and not only that, but the systems are also built that they have controls in place. If you want to put in outliers, it does not accept it, so you have to deal with all of those things. And then when it comes to reporting as well, especially personally, I don't like the NIH systems at all. I dread using the NIH systems, and I know most of you do, because it's the most complicated system that I've ever interacted with. One of our submissions, it took me 6 hours just to submit a grant on the NIH systems after everything has been put on the system. And the only way I did it was because I called them, we did a screen sharing, and they were telling me, click this button, click that button, click that button. So that all of those things is the reason why we have the Research Management Office. Because you can imagine if you could have, if you had a researcher having to do that, it's very frustrating, really. And also, because of all of this, researchers have learned to just come to the RSO and just dump everything on us, okay? So what I had to do when I took over, this is I'm putting everything into context that you guys have listened to for most of you that attended Nana's presentation. I had to literally, the first thing I did was, I looked at what we had, what has been handed to me. And then I had to conduct a gap assessment. Why did I have to conduct a gap assessment? Because the portfolio has changed significantly. And then we were still operating on the whole department, everybody doing everything. In the beginning, we were all trained in everything, so we could all support each other. But then in doing that, we realized that it was creating bottlenecks in some areas. And also there were some new skill sets that we needed within us in order to be able to provide full support. So I had to conduct a gap assessment to look at what skills are available, where the gaps are, how do we fill in those gaps in order to provide the services. I had to review the policies and the procedures that the department were operating under and see how we could improve those in order to provide a more efficient service. Again, I've already shared. So I just took on my marketing skills and started talking to researchers one by one. I met them one by one at a time convenient to them, just to sell to them the services that a research support office could offer them, how much of a headache it could take out of them. And I had to do that in order to get their buy-in, but also to get them to trust the system, that it will provide a good service to them, for them to trust the system, that we will be able to submit their grants on time, we will be able to manage their grants for them, and we will be able to support them disseminate the results and the outputs that come out of their research. So through that, I came up with this research management framework. So all that we do within the institution, I just put it into these categories. I had to develop service areas. The pre-award, what will we do under the pre-award? How do we do it under the pre-award? What are the systems we need under the pre-award? What are the guidance documents that we need? And that's how it goes all the way to the award, post-award, and close out. Okay. In order for this to support, in order for that framework to work, we had to look at what environment under which it will work. So we had to look at the resources that we needed, the right support, that is the skill set that we needed. What are, as I said, the policies and the procedures, the technologies, the data, and also how we manage the output from there. So after all of this, things were a lot manual, which was very frustrating. To do a simple report, for example, if we're asked to do a report of the total number of grants, under the different portfolios, would take a day or two for all the data to be collected. So we had talked about, prior to that, we had discussed buying an off-the-shelf research management system, but the money just wasn't there. As we work in a resource constraint setting, so most of the time the money is not there for most of these things. So what did we do? Quickly, I had to work with our internal programmers to develop our own online grants management system. It is web-based, so it can be accessed from anywhere at all. It follows the research it is custom built to fit our own research environment. We had looked at what is available in the market, looked at the features that are there, the things that worked for us, we put them together. But we did this, the first thing they told me when I said I wanted an online grants management system was design the flow of the research management processes, how things are done, and then come back to us, and then we'll have a conversation. And that's where I started off with everything. It is not an easy thing, but most of us cannot afford to buy off-the-shelf systems. We do need research, grants management systems in our institutions to manage, especially if you are a large institution and your grant portfolio is quite big. It's okay to do it manually when you're starting, but as you're getting on, you do need that. So we had to build an online grants management system which follows the grant procedure from start to end. What solutions it offers us? It eliminated almost 90% of the manual processing. It became a one-stop shop. Researchers, when they have an idea, when they wish to apply for a grant, they go into the system and initiate a request that comes to the research support office. It goes to the pre-award team, they put in a login, and then it goes back, it processes it, it follows it like that. So from that record, so let me just, my time is up, so let me just quickly follow it. So the REMSys, it's called REMSys. What REMSys does is that it follows the grant from start to end. When a researcher has an idea, they want to apply to a grant, or they've identified a funding opportunity, they go online, they put in a request. They put in the details of what they want to do, very brief details, what they want to do, if they've identified a funding opportunity, what is the deadline of that funding opportunity. If they have a link to the call they provided there, then it is picked up. We get an alert at the research support office. The pre-award team picks it up, put in a reference number, assign a project officer to RIG, who then arranges to meet with the researcher, and arrange also, a key thing that they do at that stage is arrange to have the approval for the researcher to submit. Because there's no point, the point is why you need to get your research submission approved at the early stages. There's no point for you to work so hard developing a proposal. To develop a proposal, it's very, very difficult. You work so hard in developing a proposal, you go to the end and then you cannot submit it. We've had experiences of those, and it's not very nice at all. When it goes there, we work with the researcher of the system to arrange meetings, to go through the process. We develop responsibility matrices, which supports the application process. We work on the budget with finance. So we bring all the collaborators together, identify the resources that are needed, and then come back. Everything is then uploaded back into the system, the budget, the draft proposal, and then it follows the process of the approvals all the way to the grant being submitted. Once the grant is being submitted, once the grant is being submitted to the funder, it stays on. We hear an output. We come back into the system to put in the outcome of the application, whether it's been successful or not. From there on, we then go on to, if it's failed, we close it. If it's successful, we put it onto the contracts in negotiation stage. Once the contracts are reviewed and approved and the contracts are signed, it then goes on to finance. During that time as well, we have parallel systems in that whilst we're negotiating the contract, we also are applying to the ethics committee for the research, for the approval to conduct the research. If it is a clinical trials, you have to also apply to the Medicines Control Agency for approval for clinical trials. If you're importing any drugs or any medicinal product into the country, you also need to apply to the Medicines Control Agency. So all those approvals are done in parallel to the contracts being negotiated. In addition to that, you also do need to apply, you may need to apply for government approval, especially if we're conducting the research in a government facility. In doing that as well, we work with all of those, and in the system, before you go to the next stage, the beauty about the system is that before you go to any stage, there are stop points. You need to provide evidences. You need to provide, you need to upload documents and things like that before your grant is then approved. Financial approvals are all done in this, on the system. Financial reporting, audit, financial reporting, financial monitoring, all of those things are done on the system. It follows it right through from start to close out. What it does for us is that it gives us the opportunity to collect data. We run our reports on it. If we have a need, if we get a request from management, from any researcher to ask us about their portfolio or how their grants are doing, we're able to run it on time and provide that information to them. So those are the solutions that the REMSYS covers us. So this is the REMSYS system. This is what it does. It has a service areas for donor intelligence and the donor as the LOI. So donor intelligence is where we look at the funding opportunities that are available. We have links, we've created links to online databases that post funding opportunities. We have a subscription to SmartSpin, where people, our researchers get alerts on funding opportunities that are out there. It also has proposal, another place that it has is the data bank. This is where proposals are stored and recorded, and all approvals that we sought during the system is there. It has a costing tool attached to it as well. All our costings is done online. What does that for us? It helps us to ensure that our costings are standardized. We're not costing anything different within projects, and also we are able to bring out, or we're able to produce a budget as short a time as possible. And the approval process tracking is all there. So these are the things that we have for the pre-award system. This is what we have for the post-award system, the project startup, HR management, project finance reporting, contracts and collaborators. We keep a tab of those on the system, the procurement and inventory. We also monitor the milestones and the project status all on the REMSYS. We also have automated alerts. you can preset dates where alerts can, where you can get alerts for things that you should do on the grant, and that just comes up. So again, another question. We had to do this because of how the research environment has changed, and it has impacted our services a lot. We couldn't have been able to submit over 100+ grants within 6 months without this system. I'm not sure what you have in your institutions, whether you are still using paper-based grant submissions, or whether, whether you have an online grants management systems, or everything is still done manually. But comparing how grants are being submitted now and how they're being done, how they were done in the past, which ones do you prefer? Do you prefer the paper-based submissions or the electronic grant system? Yes, whilst we're going, just tell us how you feel about that on the chat box, and we can always have a chat about it later.
Probably, right. if we have 1 or 2 people who may just raise their hand, we could unmute, so we get views from the other sides. Yes. So if you raise your hand, we will unmute you, and then you could then give your view on this question of electronic vis-a-vis paper-based systems for managing grants.
All right, then I have temporarily muted everyone. You can hold the space bar on your laptop so you can speak. If you hold it down, you can speak. Thank you.
Reduce the volume, please, and stop making noise.
There's a comment, there's a hand of Longtong Turshak.
Yes, good morning, participants. Thank you for this presentation. I'm Dr. Longtong Turshak from the University of Jos. I think that to me, the electronic based submission make life more easier. You know, one is able to submit perhaps quite a few proposals, but in the paper it was quite difficult. Sometimes management is also difficult. So I think the electronic is better. Unfortunately, for my university, it's been a bit of challenge trying to have everything fully electronic. In some cases, you have to come and you have to submit a paper you know. So I wanted to comment, you know, on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. But then again, as much as I love the electronic grants application systems, because it provides you the opportunity to have audit trails and things like that. But at the same time, as a key challenge for us within our settings is technology, internet, strong bandwidths. Sometimes you're trying to upload a document, it can take forever. Those are the challenges. Yeah, Dembo.
Okay, one more comment. Mudatta.
Hello, excuse me. Hello, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank the organizer of this program. It has been very good and fruitful. In my institution, which is Osun State University, we are still using the paper-based system, though, it's yet to be, the online piece is yet to be introduced, and that has been creating a lot of delay in submission of necessary documents, and even the feedback from the grants awardees. So I personally, I believe that online submission or online base is the best practice, and it has been the global practice today. So I agree with Warima, and I congratulate them on that improvement. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. One more comment, Julian. Julian.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
I'm Julian from University of Yaoundé 1. And concerning that question of submitting grant through electronic or paper. I think sometimes it depends on the sponsor. Like you see African Union grants, they just require paper submission, not electronic. They refuse. You have to put the electronic in the envelope with the hard copies. And for those who prefer electronic, and then the other sponsor prefer electronic. So it's not a matter of institution type of submission of grants. I don't know if it's
Okay, all right. Thanks for that input. Elizabeth, you wanna respond to that briefly?
I am surprised that the African Union are still asking for paper-based submissions, but I like she said, Julian, you're right. It majorly depends on the funder that you're applying to. How do they want to receive their grants? But I believe a majority of the funders now require grants to be submitted electronically.
But I think I mean I don't know. There is a bit on the program, and I see Alan has connected. We wanted to give her a chance to talk about REMPRO, and then we'll come back to you, Elizabeth.
Yes.
The other probably more significant advantage of the electronic system is that it provides you ready-made data. I think in a lot of our institutions, if you go over there and ask them 5 years ago, how many grants did you have? It will be a nightmare trying to get that information, because some of it will be kept in the School of Engineering, another one in the School of Health Sciences, and what have you. If you have a centralized electronic system, you are able to have data that you can be able to talk about with a lot of assurance and certainty. Good morning, Alan. Is it good afternoon at your end by now?
Oh, yes. It's good afternoon from Kampala. And
Okay.
Good afternoon to everyone. So, yes, I actually joined way back. It's just that you didn't see me. I've been listening in and enjoying the discussion so far.
Very good.
Yeah, so I'll just switch off my video to improve my audio, and I have a running nose, so I'll just leave my video off. Yes, thank you for the opportunity, Dembo and the Warima Secretariat, for inviting us as REMPRO. I see my colleague Vincent and Rose are on the line as well. I think mine is really very briefly to introduce REMPRO and the work we are doing with Warima, and why we think it's important to build support systems at the universities and research institutions so that we improve research productivity and researcher experience. REMPRO is really the research management program in Africa, which is really a program of the African Academy of Sciences. And we implement this through the AISA platform. I just want to get AISA correctly. AISA is Accelerating Excellence in Science in Africa. And that's one of the platforms of the African Academy of Sciences. And on that platform, we do implement several programs, one of which is the REMPRO program. Maybe just to give a brief background, REMPRO, we can say that maybe we started off in 2016, 2017, when the African Academy of Sciences started the development of the Good Financial Grant Practice standard. And then it was realized that we were concentrating on just the financial and grants management in research, and not looking at the entire research management spectrum. And so there was a proposal to develop a program that really now responds to the critical gap in the research management skills and capacities in many African institutions of higher learning. And I mean, one of the things we do recognize at the Academy is that if you don't recognize research as a business, as an enterprise that requires skilled personnel, the right environment, the right tools, then you're not able to tap into that income for your institution. And that's why REMPRO was then born, to kind of respond to this critical gap and see how we can build the ecosystem, the research ecosystem on the continent. So one of the things we did at the beginning was really to identify what the systemic challenges are, because, I mean, we all have been in the research arena for so long, and we do realize that different funders and different players on the continent have brought different skill sets, mostly interested in safeguarding the financials. So the emphasis was on grant management, finance management. And yet, if you're building an environment for the researcher, you need to build more than the financial and grants management. And so one of the things we did was identify why research management wasn't growing, wasn't improving at the different institutions. And so we looked at the systemic gaps that from historical data, and we realized that most of the things that had been built, which includes the financial management, the leadership of the institutions was not involved. And so that created a gap. So one that grant ended, that meant that all the resources that had come in with that grant were not sustained at the institution, because the leadership of the institutions were didn't have buy-in. And if you remember from Elizabeth's discussion, one of the things was to get buy-in from the stakeholders. That's very important. The other challenge we realized that was about sustainability. So these grants were coming in, but there was no sustainability at the institutions, both financial and specialist information, specialist people, cadre of staff. So REMPRO is looking at how do you sustain the research management function at the universities and research institutions. The other strand we're looking at is standards. And we have, in the past 2 years, been doing stakeholder consultations on how a standard that responds to research support would look like. And I'm glad to report that we did regional consultative workshops. And now we are about to embark on, technical subcommittees looking at the suggestions from the different regions. And then we've also undertaken, commissioning of a technical writer and a project manager to lead that process. And the last bit is about individual capacity development. Yes, so you need to grow a cadre of staff that can support researchers or support the academics in all these things that Elizabeth has been talking about, right from pre-award through to closeout of the grants. So pre-award, who identifies the opportunities for grants, who then flags them for the researchers? How do you collect all the competencies of the institution, and how do you, when you see an opportunity, how do you communicate that to the researchers or the academics for them to take up this opportunity? So it's important to grow a specialist cadre of staff to support the researchers. And for you, I mean, for you to be able to support very highly academic people, you need people who also can speak the same language, people who can articulate issues, people who can convince the researcher that, you know, you need support for you to, one, develop your proposal, but also to develop a budget, sustain, how to cost your research, how to do a cost recovery for your program. Otherwise, then the institution is going to be paying for some of the research work you're doing unknowingly. So that is, in a nutshell, what REMPRO is about. So in the past few months, we've been putting together different teams to undertake different assignments or different strands of work. So the work we are doing with the Research and Innovation Management Associations, and WARIMA is one of them, is to try and strengthen their secretariats so that they are able to provide, you know, some services like this training, for instance, which is, you know, important for both the academics and the support staff, you know, to interact, but also to learn why it is important to have a research management function at your institution. I mean, the debate on whether you use online systems or paper-based systems, I think we will all agree that the way the world is going, and considering the current pandemic, we need to be agile. If we require online systems, we must have a cadre of staff that can actually manage the systems. If the funder requires paper-based, we should have the flexibility to do the paper-based and submit our proposals on time for review and subsequent funding. So all these skills come in a very challenging environment, not just for the researcher, but also for the institutions in which they work. And maybe important to emphasize is that no researcher can be funded unless they are based at an institution. And so it is important for the institution for the researcher to understand that we need to grow our institutions by recognizing that without them we wouldn't be able to grow. And so in costing of our research, there should be you know, the remittance of overheads, recognition that we need to build a cadre of staff to support other researchers as well. So before we joined this call, we were actually launching a project or a program for called the International Research International Research Management Staff Development Program, which is a cultural and knowledge exchange program between Africa and the UK institutions. We want to build long-term collaborations, not just a university saying, oh yes, we want to work with University X in Africa, and then give you a proposal at the last minute for you to endorse what we call the helicopter research projects. We want the research to be mutual benefit, mutual collaboration, long-term collaboration beyond a one PI grant kind of thing. And so we want, through this program, to continually build the cultural understanding between Africa and and the UK universities. And so that's why we delayed. And Dembo, I will drop off at some time because I have to join another call, but I think that is a brief about REMPRO and what we are doing at the moment. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Over to you, Dembo.
And thank you for all the support that you've been giving to Warima. We are not as strong as Sarima, but that's our ambition to overcome Sarima at some point. I think we are laying the foundations for that. And we hope that you will be a partner all the way through. I don't know if can we have 1 or 2 questions for Alan before we let her go? So if you want to ask a question again, if you could raise your hand, then we will unmute you and then you could ask your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dembo. Let me join in appreciating REMPRO, African Academy of Sciences, and in particular, Alan and her team for the wonderful support that they have given to Warima and the other RIMAs. We will continue to count on you moving forward. So we are glad to have you with us for this short moment, Alan.
Yes, Prof. Thank you for the recognition. We do thank you also for engaging with us, and I mean inviting us to engage with you as well, and introducing us to the Western African region as well.
So if I may ask you a question, Alan, the program that you said you were launching in terms of linking institutions, is it from the Western Africa? Do you have a view of what the spread is like vis-a-vis West Africa, Central Africa, Southern Africa in that partnerships?
Yeah, so this was the first call we put out. We had several applications from Western Africa, I mean from all of Africa. So currently the teams we have, there are 6 teams with 57 individuals. The spread is, I think, mostly south, east, and I think, yeah, no, mostly south and east.
I'm not going to ask for examples.
And maybe
when you get on stuff which is interesting, it goes further. That doesn't matter.
Who else is talking there in the background?
Sorry, I don't know whose microphone is on. Yeah. As I was saying, this is the first call. So we have 6 teams from Southern and Eastern. Sorry, I was muted. We will have other calls that in the subsequent years. This is only the first call. And Dembo, remember, it is a competitive call.
No, I understand that. Because normally with things like that,
yeah, but we are trying to have equity versus excellence and do a combination, because I mean we recognize that if we don't grow institutions in certain regions of Africa, we will always have the imbalance in research incomes to the institutions. And that's why for us it's important to work with associations such as Warima to build the capacity of their members to be able to apply for grants. And we do pledge that we will continue to support Warima to grow its membership and the skill set, so that the Western African region is able to compete for grants successfully.
Absolutely, that's good.
Yeah.
Any other question or comments, please? All right, Mr. President, I'll hand over to you now to release.
Well, we have appreciated it, and we will continue to thank you again and again. And we appreciate also the progress you have made on the new project. We will try our very best to latch onto that. Lisbeth is still on. We have about less than 45 minutes to go. So maybe Lisbeth can spend the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes to round off her presentation. Then we can take the remaining part for questions and answers as well as comments from participants. Elizabeth?
All right, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you, sir, thank you. Right, so we don't have much time. We'll just dive through the whole process and try my best to finish within the next 20 minutes. But as I said in the beginning, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to either send me a message or send it through Warima, who will then channel it to me, and I'll get back to you. All right, so now the next, the part two, what we're concentrating on is, I'm just going to go into the research management as we do it per, within the framework of the pre-award, award, post-award, and the closeout. So this is our pre-award process. We identify the funding opportunity, which we do at the same time as well, researchers do as well. What we do, identifying funding opportunities is quite a challenge for us, in that we have quite a diverse researcher population, their interest areas and all those things we have to fit in. At the same time as well, we have the early career researchers and the postdoc who are the future of the unit. So we have the senior ones, those ones are okay, they're set up, but the younger ones are the ones that require much support and guidance. So for those ones, what we do is that we try our best to look at opportunities that are out there and bring it to their attention, bring it to their face and say, look at this opportunity. How can we do that? We have gotten to know them personally. We've gotten to know their research area. We've gotten to know what are their aspirations. So you build that relationship with them in order to be, you need to have a strong relationship with them. You need to know them in order to be able to identify funding opportunities that are suitable for them and bring it to their attention. Not only do we do that, but we encourage them. I constantly write to early career researchers and postdocs when I see opportunities and say, have you seen this opportunity? Do you have any plans to apply? Do you have a supervisor to support you? Do you have anybody you're working with? Sometimes all they even need is just encouragement. I read proposals. I'm not a scientist, but if I tell you the number of, just yesterday alone, I've had to read 4 proposals. I don't understand the science, but over time, I've been able to get a gist of what they want to do. And it's also good to have someone like me read your proposal. I'm not a scientist, but I can look at the grammar. I can look at the setting. And if I understand your science, know that anybody else out there will understand your science. So it's always good to have a layman to read it. Then, as I explained in the first session, you initiate your grant submission at the team level to get approval. In the unit, we have a 3-tier approval process, which you will see. Whilst, once you're approved to submit your grant, then we go on to start preparing for the submission. If you are a senior, when you're submitting a grant, you're submitting it against certain constraints. You're submitting against the constraint of time and budget, which is project management, all those kind of things. But at the same time as well, the thing also is the scope. When you're submitting, you need to really know whether the scheme that the application is being submitted to fits the research proposal that you're submitting within that scheme. You need to look at what are the restrictions where you are, especially if you're applying for NIH or most of these grants. You need to know whether your institution your geographic location, you're able to apply to those calls. It's not all calls that we can apply to based on our location. So we need to know all of those things. So at this stage is where we have to look at those. This is what we follow. We just follow these step by step until we submit until the grant is submitted. Within that, you have to prepare the budgets, you have to review proposals, you have to seek the approval, you have to get the finals approval to be submitted before that. The systems already I've gone through. These are the systems that we have that support this process. These are the policies. We have the Research Support Office policy, which clearly outlines all within the framework, what we do within each framework, who is responsible for what within the framework, and also the timelines as well. We have something called service delivery, service level agreements with the researchers, which sets out timelines for when activities should be completed or how long a process should take. This is to manage their expectations. We have the budgeting guidelines. This ensures standardization and consistency. We have the responsibility metrics, which helps us identify who's responsible for what. And then also we have the checklists, which we use just to make sure that we have not missed anything. Right. So like I said, we're looking for funding opportunities. We look at here in the unit, our main funders are the UKRI. We have funding from Wellcome Trust, EDCTP, EU, NIH, BF, and later on you will see the funding portfolio of the unit. But we do also, when we're looking for funding opportunities, we rely also on partnerships and networks, because sometimes you are not always in the know, and sometimes it is that you may not be able to lead on an application. This is where you will need a collaborator. So it could be a South collaborator within the Africa region, or it could be a Northern collaborator based within Europe or the Americas that you may need. The funders want to give those monies to those institutions. But the good thing is that has changed a lot, especially through the African Academy of Sciences. Some of these opportunities before that we could not access without having American partners, European partners, all of those things. Now we're leading those grants, which is a good thing. Okay, and then we have subscription. We have a subscription to a database called SpinSmart. This one, everybody, they had to sell it to me, sell it. But I had to use the system in order to believe in it. I am not selling for them or anything like that. But what the system allows us to do is that for each of our 40 researchers, we, compared to the other systems, with other systems, you just tick the disease areas and all of, so any calls within that comes through to you. Our researchers were complaining that their emails were getting inundated with all these calls. So what did we do? Through the SPIN system, you customize the calls that a researcher is receiving. So it's only specific for them. You personalize it. You put in the types of the research that they're doing. It asks you lots of questions that you then put in, which helps personalize the search. So the results of the search, which fits them, it's only what they receive and what they can choose to respond to. This is our current funder profile. We have to make sure that we do everything within that fits within all these research, all these funders. So you can imagine we have the WHO, Macron, that's a pharma. We deal we also deal with industry, with the industry in the pharma, and also medical device companies. We also do research with them as well. Right, our internal approval process. I am not sure, again, Dembo, we can ask this question. How many of you, though for those present, have internal approval processes for their grants before it is submitted? It is very, very, very important to have internal approval processes for your grants, because once you apply, as Alan said, when a grant is being awarded, it's as much as it's the individual that applied, it is the institution that is responsible and accountable for the grant. If anything untowards come and you're to be taken to court, yes, you can be taken to court as a researcher, but it's the institution first, and then there's the integrity of the institution, reputational damage, all of those things. So it's always good. If you don't have it, I would say, please go to your the leadership at the institution and make sure that you put this on. We have, for some of you, it might be quite cumbersome, but we have a 3-tier approval process for grant submissions. I've been talking about approval prior, but this is it. Once you know that you want to apply, you need to inform the theme leader. The theme leader is sort of like the program, the program leader. For example, the disease control and elimination bit, they have their program leader. You need to inform the theme leader that you wish to apply to the grant. You need, even if you don't have do a short synopsis. What we say to, even your ideas are not clear in your head as for what you want to do a short synopsis that you then send to the theme leader. Everything is done through RAMSIS. So once we receive the request that you wish to apply, we click a button which submits your synopsis and a link to the call to the theme leader, and they are responsible to look into what you want to do and then give approval. Why do they give approval? Each thematic area has a science strategy, what they want to achieve within that team. So the team leader makes sure that what you want to do is aligned to that scientific strategy. Why should it be aligned? There needs to be capacity within that team or across the team. We also do cross-team work for the support to be provided within the institution. Yes, the institution, it's our responsibility to ensure that you do the science, you do it well. So that's the reason why we have that. Once the team leader approves, we start the work. We have something called resource meeting, wherein we sit with the researcher. We say, okay, this is your idea, this is your proposal. What are the resources that we need? With experience, you will get to know. For me, example, those meetings are easy. I've been doing this for a long time. With experience, I tell you, for clinical trials, you need to budget for not for the staffing. You need nurses, you need field workers, you need this, you need that, you need that. But we also have a checklist which tells you for each type of research, what type of resources you will need to successfully implement that research, which guides our project officers or whoever's holding the meeting with the researcher to say, all right, once the resources are identified, finance, we forward it to finance, they cost it and then return it to us. We sit with the researcher, go through the costing. Once all those processes are complete, you go to the second tier of approval. It goes back to the head of finance for her to go through the budget line by line. Why she does that? To ensure that the project is fully costed. We run it sometimes, not sometimes, let me say, sometimes we tend to undercost our projects, which brings a problem at implementation. So once that is done, they check that. They also make sure that the exchange rate, because when you budget at the local rate, which you may then have to put into the rate, the operating rate of the funding agency. Maybe it could be pound, it could be dollar, it could be euro. They make sure that we've used the right exchange rates, and they also make sure that those are the two key things that they do. Make sure that the exchange rate is right and make sure that the grant is fully costed. Once that is done, it then comes back to me. This is when I then have to look at your proposal. I read the proposal as a head of governance. I have to read the proposal, look at the budget, and do a comparison to make sure that what you're saying you're going to do matches it. If you're doing a clinical trial, and we are going to sponsor the clinical trial, have you budgeted for insurance? Because in the Gambia, you need to provide a proof of clinical trials insurance before you can conduct any study here. If you're going to do an observational study, to look at those things. Have you thought about statistical support? Who's going to provide statistical support for you? With the data management, for the project, who's going to do it? If it's a collaboration as well, I need to look at all the collaborators, what work packages they're responsible for. Have we fully costed their work packages, things like that. Once we're happy with that, then this grant is ready to go. But if there are any glitches within this time, the process starts again. So that's why we also encourage researchers to start early. All right. So for managing online submission systems, what we do have, we have segregation of responsibility. We have centralized, not centralized, we use one common login details for the unit. So the login details for the unit for the NIH for grants.gov or ERA Commons is the same that you will find at the Wellcome Trust, is the same that you will get at on the EDCTP, is the same one on the EU system. We've centralized it. The passwords are different, but the username is the same. For accounts management, we have people, individuals who are delegated to manage these accounts. They ensure that they keep the accounts up to date. They ensure that, for example, with the SAMS, you have to renew your SAMS registration annually or twice or biannually, sorry, or every 2 years. We make the individuals responsible for it, but the head of RSO is accountable to ensure that all of those things are done regularly. And for the online submission as well, there are different tiers of submissions for the different funders. Within the system also, we have mirrored that. We have individuals responsible, for example, for releasing the form, for submitting the grant on the system, and we'll have somebody else responsible for releasing the form. We also have individuals, for all these individuals, we've created backups. Even I myself, I'm a backup for the head of research support office. If he's not available, I can go in the system and all that. We keep our passwords in a secured and access control platform. It is password controlled. To access the passwords, you need a password because you cannot submit a grant. Any grant leaving the unit has to be submitted through our systems, otherwise it cannot go in. Now budgeting, I'm sorry, I'm rushing because I'm conscious of time. When we are budgeting our grants, these are the models that we use. There are some grants that would only accept direct costs. As an African institution, I would have loved to have more time to talk about budgeting because it's quite a constraint for most of us. We run the problems of under budgeting our grants, but at the same time as well, sometimes even the budgets that we send in do not match the work that we are doing. So also for some of the calls, another thing also, for some of the calls, you always need to make sure that the setting, what is it that I wanted to say? For some of the calls, the restrictions are so much that most of the costs that are direct costs to the grants are not allowable or are not eligible or fall under the not allowable, unallowable cost. I am a risk taker. I tend to challenge the funders when it comes to that. I tend to tell them, take into consideration the research environment we're operating in. These are costs, these are direct costs to the grants. If they were not there, if the grant had not happened, we wouldn't incur those costs. Then we have also, when the costing models that we use is also dependent on how the funders are. Some funders will only pay for direct costs, some will pay for direct costs and overheads, some will ask for full economic costing. If you are working with UK-based institutions, they do ask for full economic costing and for the grants. But even with those UK-based institutions, if you are an African-based institution, the grant will meet 100% of all your direct costs. So these are things that you need to know. Maybe Warima will run a session on budgeting and things like that, which we can then look into these things in detail. Now, when budgeting with researchers tend to think that the lower their cost, the higher their chance of success. No, 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 no. Budget your cost fully. Applying for the wrong scheme. They have massive ideas and they want to go to the small and apply to schemes that have budget ceilings of 200,000. When your grant, just looking at your idea. So what we tend to will cost $1 million. So what we tell you, the researchers, is that we will give you a real cost of your proposal, and then we sit you down and say, okay, this is how much it costs. What were your expectations? Then we say, okay, look at your objective and reduce what your objectives are. Look at your deliverables and reduce it. Or maybe sometimes it's hard that we tell you that this scheme is not right for you. We will help you look for another scheme where you could then apply to. They tend not to, like I was saying, sometimes I read funder guidelines with regards to the financial guidelines, and I just say to myself, are they for real? Are they really for real? Because for some of us, if you have to do your research in a village, you're in the city, when you go to you have to build. If a researcher says that you cannot use the funds to build or rehabilitate a building, how will you do the research? Then you might as well not give me the grant, because I cannot do that without those facilities. So what ever cost is direct attribute. It will be good for us to maybe interact more with the African Academy of Sciences or with funders to really tell them about our situations. We have done it in the past. We still do, where we talk to them about the research environment. Sometimes we even invite them to come to the unit to go into the field with us and see where research is being done and why some of these costs are actually directly attributed to the cost. Or thinking that you work with government, with universities, you think that there's money floating around, and that if you have any shortfall in conducting your research, they will substitute that. That doesn't happen. Not in our sense anyway. Here I will pass, because I've already told, these are usually my responses to researchers. Under budgeting doesn't guarantee that you will have success. You will success, and if you under budget, you run into problems when implementing your grant, and there may not be any opportunity to revise your budget. Sometimes they tell you, okay, we can ask for more money later. It's not all the time that you can ask for more money later. So these are 8 simple rules that we use for budgeting, that we encourage our researchers to use. We've shared it widely within the unit for everybody to see and use when they are budgeting. Now for the award stage, within the award stage, we have the contracts review and negotiation and signed up. This is where we look at research grants agreements, we look at the collaboration agreements, amendments, and things like that. I've talked to you about regulatory approvals, ethics approvals, government approvals that we all do within our research management services. Then we talk about what we've not talked about is setting up the grant in the finance systems. So on RAMSIS, once all the documentations have been uploaded, you have your grant approval, especially if you have your contract signed. You have to upload it in order for the finance team to provide you with a cost center. So we run a cost center base. We have one central accounting system. Cost centers are allocated to each project, unique to each project, which any cost that you incur under that project goes towards that cost center. Before you're issued with that, the finance department will always need to see a fully signed grant agreement. Partially signed, no. Fully signed grant agreement before any financial commitment can be made against those grants. And also what we do within the award stage is that we also monitor compliance within these things. We also monitor to ensure that we maintain compliance. Here it's more compliance with regulatory approvals. So when I say that, is that before we start, we need to make sure that ethics approval has been issued. We make sure that the GC MCA has issued approval. Just 2 weeks ago, there was a grant that we're about to start. Just as we're about to start it, MCA wrote, they had issued approval, but then they had issues with the approval. They went back into the application, saw another information, and had to come back to us and say to us, do not start. We need to review this application, because it was a COVID-related study. We wanted to do a validation testing, and they had thought it was just a routine observational study. So we had to stop all plans. So within the research support office, we stopped everything. We said to the researcher, you cannot stop. MCA said no. So we monitor compliance with things like that, because we can get fines. We also have systems and policies and tools that guide what we do within the system, within the award system, within the award, at the award stage. The RSO role within these things is that most of us, all the members of the research support office, when Dembo was the head of research support office, what he did was he sent us all to a research contracts training, a week's intensive training where you have to we were taught how to read research contracts, know the terminologies, know how to negotiate, know MDTs, tech transfer, all those informations we had to look at. Since then, we've had 2 more people trained. We also have a set of lawyers that help in the review of research contracts. But we have the skills within the department to look at a contract and also and start identifying red flags that we ourselves bring up to the attention of the lawyers to say, we've seen this clause, we've seen that clause, we've seen that clause. We cannot comply with those, so we need to negotiate on those terms. That is what Alan was saying. We need to build the capacity of the Research Support Office in order to be able to do all those things. So these are the policies that we have. I will send the last copy of these slides to what's her name, Chibuzo, so she can share with all of you. For ethics, there are sets of the guided compliance policies, procedures, and guidances that we have. For research, governance, and integrity, I'm not sure with most of your institutions how much you're aware of research misconduct, good research practices, reporting and investigating allegations of misconduct, incidental findings within research. We have put in systems and procedures and policies to guide all of those things. For example, now within the EU, you cannot have an EU grant without an incidental findings policy. There's also the issue of safeguarding. Some of these are new to our cultures. If you look at the safeguarding, it talks about if you come across anything untoward. It talks about bullying and harassment. It talks about sexual harassment. So within research, we have to look at all of those things. We're going through a cultural change within the MRC. We have just set up our equity, diversity, and inclusion committee. And again, it affects the research that we do. We're promoting it within the institution to get a buy-in to change the culture, which is very hard. Right, so with the post-award, these are the core areas that we look at within post-award. We provide grants management support, financial management, reporting, monitoring, and compliance. Demo, please let me know if my time is up. Again, for each one of these, I've just highlighted the systems that we use, that we have in place to monitor or to support and guide the work that we do within those systems. And for the grants management, like what we do for the unit and for the researcher as the Research Support Office, we ensure that we understand the terms and conditions of the grant. If a researcher wants to publish and on the grant, we've agreed that before you put out any publication, you need to send it to the funder. They need to read your publication and approve it within a certain time. It is for us to stop it. We're sort of like the gatekeepers when it comes to those kind of things. If it is that you cannot put, when you're disseminating your results, what type of data you can put in and all of the, we need to know the terms and conditions of that. We also need to know financial terms and conditions of the grant, and then we inform the PI about those, about the grant conditions that he needs to operate within if he wants to buy something that was not budgeted for. And the funder says, before you buy anything beyond 10,000, you need to let me know. We are the ones to say we need to go to the. We become the focal point between the grant and between the grant and the institution, as well as between the grant and the PI. We ensure that all funder requirements are met, and we're the ones that initiate requests for change between the grant and the funder as well. That's all done on the grants management. For operations management, which is, this takes a chunk of our work. We do site setups. We coordinate with the PI at the start of the grant. We coordinate with the PI to set up all these plans, the HR plan, the recruitment plan for study participants. So you not only do administration, you also get to know a bit of science. You cannot do research management without understanding a bit of science. We oversee the site setup. How we oversee the site setup? As the research institute, we are a research institution. In our setting, we have all the operations set up in. We have within MRC, we have the labs, we have the facilities department, we have transport and all of those things. but we conduct, most of our research is conducted within government health facilities, either primary, secondary, or tertiary health facilities. So we are not doing things in-house. Operations overseas is done in-house, but everything else is done within these facilities. So the site setup is internally to make sure all the documentations, all the processes and the procedures are in place, but also to set up the study site where the study itself will be conducted. We're very involved in that. And we coordinate, we coordinate with the project team for resource and logistics as well. We maintain an assets register for the projects. We ensure that all communications, we handle all communications between peer stakeholders, and also we monitor project progress and report back as well. Project finances, this is where most institutions are strongest, because funders have been hammering us on finances for such a long time that we've gotten to a point of strengthening this. So for project finances, what do? We understand from the financial guidelines. We ensure that the cost, whatever cost we incur, is aligned to the grants. We monitor project expenditures monthly. We keep PIs updated on project expenditures. We prepare budget forecasts. We work with finance to prepare financial reports. It's our responsibility to ensure that reports are submitted. And also we request for environments, as I was saying, and we keep records of financial transactions, and we also coordinate audits. When a project is being audited, it comes through to us. So what do we report to PIs? We cannot do all this thing and the PI is just left on the side. They need to know what is happening, what we're doing, what work we're doing to support them. So monthly we meet with PIs, the project officer or the person whoever is responsible, sit with the PI to discuss with them how field activities are going, how many samples, how many numbers have been recruited, how many samples have been collected, where they are in terms of processing, shipments, all those kind of things. We look at the status reports, the financial status report. We compare budgets versus actuals. That also we track what the funders have paid into the institution. And because sometimes you send reports, you don't receive any money. So we have to track it. We have to make sure that finance informs us when we've received, funders have paid. If they've not paid, we alert funders as well about it, asking them to pay. Staffing, we manage the staffing in terms of staffs. I've told you 75% of our staffs are employed on external funded grants. 75% of 1,300 plus staff are lots of people. So you make sure that you manage the contract staff, contract end staff due to go on leave, staff that are off sick, all those kind of things. This is done in collaboration, in close collaboration, I repeat, in close collaboration with the HR department. We update on performance against project deliverables and also any upcoming events. And what we report to, with finance, we maintain a master file of all the financial reports that are due within 12 months. Monthly, we meet with finance. The last week of the month, we meet to discuss what will happen the upcoming month, how many reports we have to do, are they allocated within their theme, who is doing what, and all those kind of things. It's done. And then during that meeting, we review how we did the previous month, which are the outstanding reports that did not go, what were the causes of the delay. So we have to continually look at bottlenecks and see how we address it. We've developed, and we had to develop an SOP to show, because it's a collaboration. We had to make sure that we are all responsible and accountable for our action. We back that with an SOP. And then whatever we do before we send anything out, we share it with the researchers and let them know what's happening. And the last bit is closeout. You kind of get tired by the time you get to close out, because you feel that you've done all the work, after closeout, you need to look at what do you do with the research once it's closed. You've collected all this data. There are all these plans for publications. The researchers have to attend international meetings. They have to go to they have to present the research output or the research outcome of the research to the international science community. So in doing that, it's all done as part of the closeout. Operation side of things, we ensure that all finances commitments are met. We've sent all the reports to the funders. We've received all our monies. Project resources are disposed of according to funder funder terms and unit terms and conditions, because some funders, once the research is complete, they ask you to give them back all the equipments that you've bought within the research, or if you're doing another research with them, they say, pass it on. There are some funders that say, after all of this, anything that you've bought within the research is your own, take it, so it comes back to the unit. So we manage all of those things. We also document our issues log as well. That is the lessons learned log. So we do not only document issues, we also document successes. We use this as the reference point for the research, for other upcoming research, to see what we've done well. That is very, very important. In most of our research support office operations, we overlook those things, but it's something that shouldn't be overlooked at all. Now, managing the team. Dembo, how many minutes do I have? I've consumed all my time.
I think you've consumed all of your time. So if you could take 5 minutes just to wrap up, that would be very nice.
Let me quickly wrap up then. Okay. For managing, key thing in what we do is that this one, you can look at the slides later. I'll just talk it through. A key resource in all these things that we've talked about is human being. People. It's one of the things that when I became a manager or the head of the department that I had to struggle with a lot. You're dealing with personalities, you're dealing with different individuals, people with different objectives, people with different motives, people with different attitudes. They come in the morning with different problems. You don't know what their situation is. And sometimes we have a policy that leave it outside. You cannot leave it outside. If I didn't sleep through the night because my child was crying, I come into the office tired and cranky, it may impact work. So really, when you're that's why managing a team is very good. To effectively manage a team is key to any research management process. I learned early that I need to be a people person in order to be able to do this job. Because you don't only have to manage your team, you also have to manage the PIs. You have to be a pillar for them, a pillar in that when they're running through difficulties. I remember one time we had a researcher, because of some glitches on the NIH system, the grant could not be submitted at all. Having worked on a grant for about a month or so, and the grant did not go through. The PI came crying. What do? Do you just say, it's not my fault, it's a system glitch? That's when you have to show empathy. You have to be able to, you listen to them. You need to understand their problem and take it from their own end. You need to motivate and influence your team. How do you do that? You need to set up systems. You need to, for us, I need to ensure that so motivating them is that I need to look at what really drives them. What drives them to succeed? In looking at that, then I set up schemes. For example, in one of these slides, we had set up something as silly as a dress-up day, wherein they just come in dressed up funny. We take photos, we have a competition, just to keep the team motivated and be involved. Not only that, you also need to have a career development plan for them. In our setting, it's very difficult to find somebody with the skill sets that you need to effectively run a research management office. Those personnel in the Gambia, they don't exist ready-made. So you really need to invest in people. You need to train. We've had to develop training programs. We've had to run in-house trainings. We've had to do on-the-job trainings in areas where we've identified gaps in order to build the capacity locally, because we just couldn't recruit, even though you have the money to recruit, but the personnel is just not there. So we have to build all of those things. And so please bear that in mind. Research output, we do monitor, manage, and track research output a lot. How we do that, we do community engagements, we do presentations, we have unit seminars, we post outputs on our unit, our website. We do community, like I said, community engagement. We also do dramatizations just to put our research output there. And also we do publications and presentations and at international forums. So the dramatization and the community feedback sessions are usually held together, wherein we put we work with the community drama groups, and we have here what we call what is it called, the women groups, or most of our communities have these drama groups. We put the research outcome in a layman's term. They develop scripts around it, and then within their communities they do dramas of these things in order to just put that message out. How do we track and manage it? We log all these things when they happen. We also have a self-reporting online form. So if a researcher has gone out there, did a presentation, submitted an abstract, and all of those things, it's logged. We have a central repository for all of these informations, where we not only log the activities that are happening, we also have a system for logging that is called, it's custom, also custom built by our programmers here, where we log in a library, our publications. We have publications logged into that system that go back all the way to 1970. We prepare quarterly reports that we share with the unit on all these areas. We use citations as well. This is something that we're attempting to use. It's proving very difficult, but I'm sure we will get to see how far our research output has gone and what are the impacts of that. And also we have recently started using M&E concepts to measure impact of our research output. So I will stop here. If you have any questions, thank you very much. I'm sorry to have taken much longer time than was intended or planned for.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. That was a very clear and succinct presentation. I know it's a virtual thing, but I can clap for you on behalf of everybody else on the call. If you have any question or comment, can you put up your hand, and then we'll unmute you for 5–10 minutes of discussion. Okay, so whilst people do that, there has been a few questions that have been coming on the system. One of them was the cost of spin smarts. Few people inquired as to what the cost of the spin smart system is. So
with us, with spin smart right now, what we've paid for 1 year subscription is $2,500. However, we were able to negotiate with them to do a trial of 3 months that we had for free. After the 3 months is when we paid for the 12-month subscription. We only paid $2,500, and we've been able to create profiles for all the 40 plus the dummy ones that were created for myself and a few other people within the institution. So we had over 50 profiles created on that spin smart.
So do you know what is the maximum that you can get on that $2,500?
No, I don't know. Okay. For us, we only negotiated based on what we needed.
Okay, so I think that's something that if you could circulate the contact out to Warima, to Chibuzo, probably see if you could negotiate something on behalf of Warima rather than on the individual institutions. I don't know how they will take along with that.
Okay.
The other question that came up was REMSys, whether you developed it internally or it is something that you purchased.
I developed it internally. I had to write every letter of that program. And so I designed the program, and then the programmers developed it.
So again, I think for me, the take-home message for others on the call is that there are competencies internally to review systems and then program them. So I think one of the objectives of this seminar series is that we'll create a community of practitioners in the sub-region so that those practitioners can be taking reference from each other And that's why we are asking for email addresses of everybody who comes on the call. So please, if you need any expertise point from Elizabeth or any other person in the call, please go ahead and contact them, and then we can see whether we'll do it as a one-to-one institution or we'll try to build something that is going to be more accessible by everybody.
Yeah, and also just to add to that, Dembo, there's I believe Miriam from what's her name, the MRC in Uganda is on the call.
Yes.
So we have deployed the program, or we were to partially deploy the program, the REMSIS system, to be used there. There was also another institution that has approached us through BNBF that we are working with, but we have between myself, not myself, within the institution and the other institution, and the developers, we've agreed on a modular release of the program within their institution. Because when I was building it with us in mind. So there's some modifications that some of them need to do within the system to suit their environment.
We should be presenting this at SRA, INOMS, or Warima conference next time. Dr. Mohammed Ghazali asked to admit here.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this all an important session. I really benefited a lot. My name is Muhammad Ghazali Garba, the Director of Research and Development of Federal University Dusima, Kaduna State from Nigeria. Actually, I'm highly interested, with this interaction. Our university is one of the new university precisely established in the 2011. We are ICT driven. We have a lot of young men that can, assist us in developing and, assisting us in going the question I wanted to ask was has been addressed. The issue of whether Elizabeth developed the e-application grant system. I'm really happy to hear that she designed the program, and I don't know how can my university, benefit from this. If there is any way that we can, collaborate with Warima, so that we can get, we can go in terms of research, application and management. Thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
All right, that's good. Elizabeth, you want to say something? Elizabeth?
We can collaborate. We can collaborate with through Warima, because I'm a member of Warima. And we can also collaborate institution to institution.
Okay.
My details, all the resources that we've shared here will be available through Warima on the Warima platform, and you can access. We can talk about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Who else is having their hand up? Adeyemi.
I've learned a lot. My name is Akinyemi Adeyemi from Osun State University. Now, I want to find out about the data management guidelines. It seems as if that's a bit omitted in the presentation. Now, so what are the guidelines about that data management? It is becoming very important now. Is there a platform where data can be properly managed, especially after the research? Thank you.
A data management policy, which clearly states has research data can be used for publishing, how research data can be used for further research, all those kind of things, and also the sharing of data between partners or between institutions for other works. We have that in-house policy, but for project specifics as well exists, wherein for each project overarching is the institution's data management policy. At the research management level, what you do at the research level, you have data management plan, where you identify the types of data that will be used, that will be generated through the research, how the data will be stored, how will ensure that you protect privacy of the individuals of whose data you have collected. Those are very important. You have confidentiality. You need to be aware of confidentiality. You need to be aware of privacy and protecting personal identifiers. We, as an institution, we also have to comply with the general data protection regulations that applies to the EU. So we have put in systems and measures in place to ensure data before leaving the institution is either pseudonymized, or when we say pseudonymized is that we have removed the data, but you're still able to individual that the data was collected from. Or the data is absolutely anonymized, wherein all you see is just aggregate data, and you can use it to do analysis, but you cannot use that data to go back to individuals. So we have those systems and documents in place. Again, maybe this is something that I will discuss with the WARIMA Secretariat. Maybe these are resources that within the platform that can be shared to be accessed by all partner institutions to support. But those are things that we have in place. And also, right now, there's this new concept. I'm just going to talk about this shortly. If you are using routine medical data for research, there are policies and guidances that guide that. Because in the past, you were not allowed to. But concepts are changing. The environment is changing in that these data are now being used for learning purposes. So right now, I am developing a framework within which those data can be used for learning purposes and also for further.
Okay, that's a good point. I think what we say is that we are doing this series to continue. So we're starting with the more overarching concepts, and then we'll go the individual task managers do on a day by day. Elizabeth was making mention of budget, so we'll have a session that is going to be specifically directed at budgets. We can take another session that is going to be specifically directed at data management, because there are lots of issues that are relevant to data management that we need to share across the good practice policies and procedures, if you like, so that WARIMA in the end ends up becoming a reference point that every other person in the practice can be able to get information from. So that's a good point that you have raised out there. Somebody asked this final question, Elizabeth, said there are some grants that don't allow them to do indirect.
Yes.
So what has been like practice to be able to deal with that?
That one is very tricky. I had a conversation with the head of finance and administration at the EDCTP, a lengthy conversation last week, because I was telling him that some of their guidelines, the conditions of the guidelines just do not fit our environment. In situations, I will tell you what we've done. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I will tell you what we've done. Whether it's right or wrong, please do not judge us. In situations where we are not allowed to apply for indirect costs, we have, as much as possible, try to identify all the costs and then ask ourselves the question, if the research did not exist, or if the research was not taking place, would this cost have been incurred? If it's a yes, I put it on the grant as a direct cost. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a bit of a risk taker, and then I argue it out with funders once the grant is awarded. But if it's a no, or if it's a maybe, it becomes difficult. This is where I forgot to mention in my presentation that there may be restrictions in the scheme that you're applying to, where you need to have your leadership or the institution's leadership buy-in, because there are some costs you just have to bear in order for you to take on this, in order for you to conduct your research. For us here, we identify those costs during the grant application stage, and then we go back to leadership, seek approval or commitment from them to say, look, this grant is coming. It will not bring any indirect costs. We've tried our best to put in all the direct eligible costs that we could identify on the grant, but there are costs that will come up that will not be eligible, that we would not be able to put on the budget. In terms of, so usually the response we get is, what are those costs? Do a budget for it. Do a justification and show the impact and the value of the research. Go to yourself and the units, and based off of that, a decision is made as to whether it's something that they will approve to go ahead, or whether it's something that they will say, no, 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 it's not worth it, look for another scheme. But
okay,
that's
so
how we handled it.
We are running out of time. I've got a hand here from the National Public Health Labs. I don't know which one is this.
Hello, good morning. I want to thank Elizabeth for a wonderful presentation. It was very educative. Now, I just want to make some inquiries and some recommendations so that maybe Warima can open online course training whereby people can get access to be trained on project management. Really, your presentation have shown that no one person can easily submit for a grant. Now, some of us have got experience of writing grants. Sometimes you don't win them, sometimes you win them because of some of these loopholes. But if there is a program which is online, people can be trained. And then institutions also that want to build their research platforms, I would also recommend Warima to have a mentorship program sort of, so that calls could be out, as the earlier speaker who had mentioned of programs in other areas where science is not thriving very well. Now that will also help so that all institutions conducting anything like research will have that interface between researchers and the relevant project managers. And you mentioned it very well. And then if anybody works like that, there is a high chance that most of the grants you can apply would be at least given a chance of receiving funds. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's a good input, and we will take that on board on the plate of Warima. Adeyemi, your hand is still up. Do you want to say something?
Oh, no. I've already asked the question.
All right, that's good. I think I have a hand up for Patricia, but she does our vote of thanks, so I'll just let her be the last speaker on the call. All right, Patricia, there is no other hand up, so it's all yours. Whatever. Hello, Patricia. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone who has been on this call. I want to, on behalf of the president and the EXCO of Warima, to say thank you to Elizabeth for a wonderful presentation. I asked some questions and that was answered. You know, I want to commend you on REMSIS on this research management program, which I can see a lot of interest it has generated. And we will collaborate with the MRC. I must be speaking on behalf of everyone that the MRC has shown itself to be a great institution and a model for research management and administration. It will be a great institution for benchmarking with respect to various research management processes. And it will stand a strong mentor for new and emerging institutions in the West African sub-region. I want to thank you, Dembo and Karis, for anchoring and packaging this wonderful seminar series. Our wonderful partner from Kenya, Dr. Allen from the AAS, they've been a great inspiration and support for Warima. And we're really happy that this platform has taken off and is flying. And it's my hope that many more institutions across West Africa will come into these calls, and that our series will enrich the practice of research management on the West African sub-region. And with these few remarks, I want to just say thank you to everybody, but let's make sure that we're registered as members of Warima towards strengthening this association across our West African sub-region. Sarima and other RIMAs across the across Africa have been supportive. And I want to say that we are going to be standing out too with your support and contribution. So once again, to our wonderful administrator, Karis, I want to commend everybody. And Mr. President, thank you for allowing everyone to do their function and for giving your support. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Bye-bye, everyone. And
thank you very much, Patricia, who is the Secretary General of Warima. Two bits of announcement that I want to make before I say goodbye. One is that the next series is coming up on the 26th. Elizabeth did make mention of partnerships and collaborations, and I think many of our institutions, we have got lots of partnerships and collaborations that we are involved with. So that is going to be dealt with by Dr. My friends, M.A. Owaji from the University of Ibadan. Then we circulated on the 3rd of December, the IPRC, which is the International Program for Research Professional Recognition, is doing a webinar on the program. I think for many of you who are in research management with significant experience, you will want to have that professional recognition as a professional research manager. And the IPRC scheme offers a fantastic opportunity for that. So if you want to join that on the 3rd of December, if you don't have the call, please contact Chibuzo at the Secretariat and she'll give you the link in. We are in discussions with Sarima again to give details of the outcome for them with regards to a review of how institutions deal with indirect costs across the region and across the world. I think that's also going to be a useful session for people to join. But we will give you further details as those dates are being found up with Sarima. All in all, thank you very much. It has been an excellent session, and we hope to see all of you on the 26th of November. Please bring your friends and your colleagues along to that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Elizabeth, all the best.
That was very fantastic.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye to you all.
Also want to say thanks to everybody. Wonderful session.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. This session for today is over, and we will be sending reminders out for the next session. We hope you are able to attend, and we hope that it has been enjoyable and profitable for you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Hello.
Hello, do you have any question, please?
Yes, the slides, please. I think you promised to get it across to our email. When do we expect it, please?
Okay, we are making a file. We're going to put them all in a file together, and we're going to send them out to our members. I'm going to set it up on our page as well. We're also going to send it out to every participant on the page. So, but not right now. At the end of all 3 webinar series, we are going to put them up on
Okay.
into a single file, and then we're going to share it. Thank you.
Okay. And then the second question, please. My university is yet to be registered as a member of WARIMA. And how do I go about that, please?
Okay, you could contact us at warimaoffice@yahoo.com, and we would give you the procedures for registering your institution. You can also register as an individual. So
it's okay. Thank you very
you can
much. I
reach out
appreciate
to us on the flyer, on the email. My contact is there. My email is also there. The Warima email is also there. So you could easily reach out to us, and we will give you the procedures. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye.